Welcome back to Creative Living Radio. I'm your host, Frank Felker. My guest today is Neil Howe, an entrepreneur and author who's about 2 months into a totally nomadic lifestyle with his wife and family. Neil Howe, welcome to the program.
Hey, Frank, happy to be here. I'm happy to share a little bit about our journey on the road.
That's exactly what I want to talk to you about. I'm fascinated by what you guys are doing, Neil. I see on your Facebook post that you use a hashtag, no home, no matter, which is obviously a play on the words both nomad and no matter. What exactly does that mean? What is your lifestyle right now?
Well, our lifestyle is over the last 6 to 8 weeks, we decided to sell everything that we own. We got rid of our house, we got rid of all our possessions, and basically we jumped in our Toyota Sienna and started touring the country. So we have no home anymore and we are nomadders, but no matter, like you said, the play on words, you know, we're just not worrying about, anything anymore really. And we're just seeing what America has to offer as far as, the different cities, different towns, and different natural habitats as well. We're really trying to take in a lot of the natural parks that are around the country.
It's wonderful and a dream of many people, but clearly, so many questions are raised in one's mind when we hear about this lifestyle. And before we address those, let me just ask you, when did you guys first start talking about this, and what was the initial reaction from your wife and children? Or were you the person driving the Toyota in this case, or was somebody else's idea to do this?
Yeah, no, well, take you back a little bit about our family. We have a big family. We actually have 7 children. Most of them are grown now. So the 5 older ones are still back in, Marietta or different places around the country. And they're on their own journey now, their own individual journey. So it's just my 2 youngest daughters now, Abby and Paisley. They're 11 and 12. And it was time. We've always wanted to travel. Sometimes with a big family, it's very hard and can be very expensive to do that. But we've always wanted to travel, and it just got to that time to where it was like, our youngest ones have been homeschooled for the past couple of years. So they're used to being at home and doing things online and learning a different way. So there was nothing really holding us back. And there's so many reasons to go. So, we kind of floated the idea between Amanda and myself, and neither one of us said, well, that's a stupid idea. So so we kind of went with it, and we didn't do a great deal of planning. Obviously we had to get some things in order before we took off, but the biggest thing was actually releasing all those things that we owned that could have held us back to one area for too long. And that's something that I see so often in people's lives is, they either have a job, they have a house, or they have family that keeps them in one area for, so many years. And many people are happy with that. But, we just thought it was time to get out and explore and really, see everything that the US has to offer anyway, before embarking, hopefully later, on the rest of the world and taking in all those different sights and sounds. It's really been amazing so far.
So you mentioned Marietta. I assume you're talking about Marietta, Georgia, near
Marietta, Georgia, just outside Atlanta. Yes.
Okay. Now, as I listen to you speak, I'm not hearing that Georgian twang that I'm expecting to hear. What is it that I'm hearing there?
No, I'm Scottish, born and bred. I came over to the US when I was 21. I turned 45 now, so I've been here for a little bit longer than I was there. So needless to say, the accent has diminished a little bit, but you can still hear it. But the Scottish are definitely travelers. Scottish are travelers. Anywhere you go in the world, you're bound to meet a Scotsman somewhere.
That's interesting. Well, I just wanted to bring that up because I thought for sure it would be on the mind of somebody watching or listening right now. So you're 45 right now, and you mentioned Amanda. I take it that's your wife's name.
Amanda's my wife, yes. And then our 2 daughters, Abby and Paisley, are with us too.
Wonderful. Okay, and so now let me just ask you then, when you broached the idea with your younger daughters, what was their reaction?
They were excited. It was a little bit hard because the neighborhood that we lived in, they did have their friends there that they are used to playing with. So it was a little bit hard tearing them away from that. There's a few tears, but they've really enjoyed themselves so far, and they're very easygoing kids as well, which helps. They're used to going with the flow. They don't mind jumping in the car, and some of the trips have been a little bit longer than expected. We're up here in New Hampshire now, which is beautiful, up in the mountains, a little bit different than the south. But
Well,
the
where have
journey
you
up
guys
here,
traveled so far?
well, we started off, we were very familiar with Florida. So we thought, all right, let's kind of get our feet a little bit in Florida, a familiar environment where we're used to going. So we went down to Florida. We went all the way down. Our first trip was from Atlanta down to Pompano Beach, Florida. So we went down there and we stayed there for a week. Moved a little bit further north from there to Orlando, and then we came back up north. And I'll tell you a bit of a story about that. Was we had a place in Crossville, Tennessee, which is right outside of Knoxville. So we drove all the way up there from Atlanta. We stopped in Atlanta from Orlando, and we get to the destination, and they didn't have our booking. They were like, sorry, we can't find your booking. I'm looking for my confirmation and everything, and I couldn't find it either. So needless to say, we didn't have a hotel room. We got there at 12 o'clock midnight, and we didn't have a place to stay. So they're like, well, we can either find you a place. We don't have what you're looking for, but I'm going to have to charge you X amount, and it was about 3 times more than we wanted to pay for it. So we had to make decisions at that point, and we ended up getting a hotel room for a night somewhere else, and then we made our way to Nashville the next day and spent a few days there. So,
well, I've also seen on your Facebook you've been to Washington D.C. You were at Jamestown, the Jamestown settlement historical site, and Delaware and Maryland, etc. So right now you're sort of on an East Coast leg.
Yes, definitely. We're taking in the East Coast first. We're in New Hampshire now. We've been to all those places that you said. In New Hampshire now, going over to Maine, hopefully taking a little bit of Canada for a day or two. And then from there, we don't really know.
That's great.
Actually, we've got Pennsylvania after that, but from there we don't really know. We don't really have it planned out. It's just we do have access to accommodations, which is kind of we can get weeks, the overstock timeshares for relatively cheap. Mm-hmm. So that's how we've been traveling so far. We've used a little bit of Airbnb as well, here and there, and that's how we've been traveling so far. So,
well, I'll come back to the some of the travel anecdotes and so forth near the end of our conversation, but I want to get into what I'm sure is a question on a lot of people's mind. How in the world can you afford to do this? How are you? I understand you're an entrepreneur, and I take it that's how you generate your living, but how can you do that while you're basically on a permanent vacation?
Well, sometimes it can be hard. The mental attitude is that you are on vacation. There's so much to see when you're in a new place. And of course, part of what we're doing is on our No Home, Nomadder blog is we need to get content for that blog as well. So we're always looking to go places and take pictures. We're looking to feature different places to eat, stay, explore, and play. And part of our journey is writing books about each state that we go to as well, and the best places to eat, stay, explore, and play. So that's going to be a long-term project. but we're really trying to gather content so that we can fill those books. So we are in touch with different places. Everywhere we go, we reach out to people, asking them if they want to be featured in the book and on our website, and in exchange for either free accommodation or entry into different experiences, as well as comped meals and things like that. So we do reach out to these people, and we do get a lot of that stuff for free for featuring them on our website and in the book.
Interesting.
Yeah, like you say, that is one avenue of what we're doing. But Amanda works online, and I work online as well. I've got my own media marketing business too, so that keeps the money coming in. But to go back to the timeshares that I talked about before, surprisingly enough, people say like, "Oh, I love what you're doing. It's really brave to get out there and do that. I could never do it. It's too expensive to be able to travel that way. I'm broke." They just have no idea really of what the cost is to do this. Now, Frank, to give you an idea, between my mortgage and all the bills that I was paying back in Marietta, I was at about $3,000 a month to pay for all those kinds of things just to stay in a home. When you look at your electric bill, your cable bill, your water bill, the trash, the gas, all these bills that you have to pay, your homeowner's insurance and all that kind of stuff, on top of your rent or your mortgage, it really adds up. And I'm actually paying about half of that staying full-time in timeshares when I'm on the road. So
wow,
it's actually saving us money living the way that we're doing.
That's interesting. And with your business, your online media business, you're able to do your work, I guess, just about from anywhere. It sounds like sort of like the epitome of the laptop lifestyle.
It is. One of the things that we do still have to get sorted out. Luckily, I'm in this beautiful hotel up here in Lincoln, New Hampshire, and they've got great Wi-Fi service, but believe it or not, the Wi-Fi in many areas of the country, especially if you're in hotels or timeshares and things like that, isn't that great. So, but that's the main thing, is having a good Wi-Fi signal. And yeah, you can work from anywhere, and really it's available to anybody who has an online job.
So you said that people say to you, I would love to do this, but I could never afford it. Are there other concerns that people express, fears, myths, misconceptions about this lifestyle that you have found are not true?
Not necessarily not true. I think people make a lot of these comments just because they don't know. They don't know what to expect, and we didn't really know what to expect either. It does take a certain amount of bravery, I suppose, to get out there and actually do it. But it also takes a lot of research on how to do it. And when you get into it, you find that there's a real community here, Frank, that there's so many people who are doing it, that do live that nomadic lifestyle, that do travel full-time with their families, and they write about it, they blog about it, and there's a lot of information out there to tell you how to do it cheaply. I would say the US is a little bit more expensive to do full-time traveling than some other areas of the world. But, a lot of people like Southeast Asia to go just because it's really cheap down there. Central America, South America, your money goes a long way down there as well. So, families are living off of, say $50 to $100 a day, very, very comfortably, in nice resorts like this. So
that's very interesting. That would not have believed that. Now, in terms of, obviously, you're budgeting your money. What about your time? You mentioned your children have been homeschooled for a good period of time. You've got travel time. You and your wife both need to have some work time. Then you want to see the sights, and then, of course, mealtime, bedtime. How are you guys proactively attacking that, or just sort of taking each day as it comes?
Generally, we're just taking each day as it comes. You know, we have a list of things to do for work. We have a list of sites that we want to see. So whenever there's downtime, you know, we work and we make sure that we're getting that stuff done. But we also try to, you know, schedule different activities, especially for the girls. You know, being in and around DC was, you know, great for them. You know, they learn so much when they're there. There's just so much to see, just learning so much about the government and, you know, the World War II and the Vietnam memorials that are there as well. So many learning experiences. So they're really getting a great education by being on the road like that. And then, of course, Williamsburg and Jamestown gets into the history of the country. So there's so many learning lessons when you're on the road. You know, that you don't get in the classroom. I'm kind of going on a tangent here with your question, but that's really been important, that learning aspect for the girls. But
Put
yeah,
a priority on that.
Yes, definitely. And, you know, things just kind of work out. You know, we do have to obviously make time for work and make sure that there's money coming in, and, you know, all the other things, cooking the meals. One thing that is different or difficult about going to a new area all the time is you don't know what to expect. The grocery stores have been a major point of contention. You know, either we're down in Orlando and it's just, you know, crazy. So many people are in the store from all different places, or you're in a little town like this and it's, you know, a completely different atmosphere, but things just tend to take a little bit longer than they usually do at home when you're just accustomed to your usual grocery store. So yeah, time is definitely a very important thing that we have to make sure we're taking care of.
Well, I can see that patience is a lesson that you're learning, Neil. But let me ask you this, Dad. What sort of other lessons are you learning that may or may not have been a surprise to you about this?
Well, I think that, you know, you have to have patience, like you said. And I think my wife and my kids are learning patience as well. Not everything is as luxurious as, you know, we like to make it out to be. There is a lot of stress involved when you're traveling, not knowing what's going to happen next, what's around the corner. We're always looking for that next place to stay to make sure that we have somewhere. So that's a bit of stress, but you know, we are a pretty easygoing family, so we kind of take that in our stride. We tend not to worry about it. You know, I've interviewed a lot of other traveling families, and one of the messages that they put out as well is, you know, everything just works out. You know, there's a lot of stress at the beginning, and we're definitely experiencing some of that. But the longer you go, the more you know, I think, and just trust that everything's going to work out. So, you know, we just have to trust that everything's going to show up at the right time, and there's a reason for everything that happens. But it's definitely an experience that I want to not only have myself and for my wife, but for the kids as well. This is something that they're going to remember for the rest of their lives. You know, whether we do this for a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever it might be, it's something that they're never going to forget, these experiences.
That's funny. That was going to be my next question, was how long do you guys think you'll be doing this for? And it sounds like you're going to keep doing it as long as it feels like the right thing to do. Yeah,
I mean, that's basically the answer. We started out with a kind of 5-year plan to where we would do the United States for the first year or two, get comfortable with just, you know, having no home and nomading around the country before taking in different countries. Because as I said before, you know, things are so much different in every place that we go, even around the United States. you know, and you have to get used to that. It's something that is a little bit difficult for some people, and obviously when you go to other countries, it's completely different again. A lot of the expectations that we might have, you know, I've been living in the South, and Amanda was born and bred in the South as well, and we have certain customs that, you know, we're used to in the South. You know, that's that Southern hospitality and
Right.
all that kind of thing. Well, you know, different places where you move, it's not necessarily the same. So, and you've got to respect that. You've got to just basically go along with the place that you're in and try and mold into their environment rather than have
I think when you arrive in the Rocky Mountain states, you'll find a very similar sensibility to that sort of the Southern hospitality and people waving to you that you've never met before and that kind of stuff. But I do know what you mean. I was recently in Manhattan, New York City, and I hadn't been there in a long time, but it was still quite a slap in the face and just, you know, wow, what a completely different lifestyle.
It really is. And, you know, we're planning heading there in a couple of weeks ourselves to take that in. And, it's something that it's kind of, we have to see it. We have to go there. I've been to New York myself, but Amanda hasn't and the girls haven't. So it's something that we have to see, but it's not like the lifestyle that we really want and are looking for. We're definitely more interested in the natural parks.
If somebody listening or watching is considering adopting this nomadic lifestyle, what's a piece of advice, maybe 2 or 3 pieces that you would offer based on your experience so far?
First of all, do your research and have a plan. So those 2 things we're still working on. The plan, the way that we thought things were going to go has not been the way that things have gone so far. So you really need to research, you know, what you want to do. There's different plans out there that people have, and I think just being able to budget for that and understanding what kind of travel that you want to do and are comfortable doing are some of the most important things. You know, in hindsight, it may have been better for us to get an RV and travel to all these different natural parks rather than relying on this timeshare destination vacation kind of thing that we're on right now, because we can only go to the places that have available timeshares. So that might not necessarily be the places that we want to go and see as far as the natural.
So that limits your options.
It limits the options, or it just means that we have to travel a little bit more.
I see.
So, for instance, we're in Lincoln, New Hampshire right now, which is only, I think it's 2 hours or so from Montreal in Canada. So, you know, we're going to make a trip there. Yeah, if we want to go to Boston, you know, it's another 2-hour trip there. So we do find ourselves traveling a little bit more than we would if we were in an RV, just kind of moving around.
Well, I'm sure you agree. It's all about the journey, not the destinations. So
that's right.
Travel time and travel experience is also part of the lessons to be learned. Well, we're just about out of time, Neil. I wanted to ask, though, if anybody who's listening or watching would like to follow your journey and engage with your blog posts and future books and so forth, what's the best way for them to do that?
The best way is to go to No Home, Nomadder. Let me, I got my t-shirt on.
There you go.
There we go.
Beautiful. So No Home, Nomadder, MADDER.com. Okay, got it.
That's the best way to find us. And then obviously there's all the social. We're very busy on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, but you can find all those from the website, nomadder.com.
You know, something I always do just before we sign off, is there any question I have not asked you or a thought that's come to your mind that you'd like to share before we go?
Yes. A lot of people ask why. You know, why do you do this? Why did you decide to do that? And, you know, to give you a little bit of our family background here, Amanda's dad was a very successful businessman, entrepreneur, but in his mid-50s, he was diagnosed with dementia. Now, he's worked all his life, and, you know, a lot of people will work for 20, 30, 40 years and then think, well, I'm just going to wait till retirement, and then I'm going to go abroad, and I'm going to visit this place and do all those things. Well, you know, he was diagnosed with dementia in his 50s, and now, unfortunately, he's bedridden, and it's a horrible place to be. So you're never guaranteed tomorrow. And the idea of waiting 20, 30, 40 years to go and enjoy your life just doesn't make sense to me. If you have the opportunity right now, now is the time to go.
That's a wonderful, inspirational story. I mean, it's a terrible thing that's happened to Amanda's father, but that's life. And for you guys to be able to take benefit and value from that life lesson that he's learning is a wonderful thing. And I appreciate you sharing it with everybody today. Neil Howe, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Frank. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks again to Neil Howe, and thank you for joining us. Until next time, I'm Frank Felker.